tell you, with humbleness and the attitude to imbibe, if you move, every stone tree will teach you. Forget about enlightened master teaching you. That will surely happen. But if you carry these two attitude of humbleness and attitude of learning, receiving, imbibing. Yesterday I was talking to one of our brahmachari. Casually I was mentioning how this whole Madurai Adinam is going to be rebuilt. We are going to make the whole thing into 5 floor. The opposite property also is going to become a 5 floor property, 5 floor. That's the maximum allowed limit by corporation. So we are planning. I was telling some of the minute details presented in Meenakshi temple architecture and Kashi Vishwanath temple. Actually I wanted this place to be representing the whole India. So some of the minute details in Varanasi and Meenakshi temple, and there is a Sun temple in Konark, Orissa, which has a huge wheel with 12 spokes. So I was talking about all these minute details, how this is going to be built. He was telling, how do you see all these details? Bless us also to get that. Please understand, so many people who live around me, whether they believe I am enlightened or incarnation or not, that is different. But all of them are baffled by my awareness and by my memory and the way I put things together. Seeing that everybody is shaken and baffled, that no doubt, it's non-controversial. Only my incarnation hood is controversial, but all the qualities of incarnation hood which I am expressing are non-controversial. It is non-controversial. It cannot be refuted. But I tell you really, keeping Shokkanatha and Meenakshi as a witness, I give you the secret of this quality. Understand? Humbleness and attitude of imbibing. When I look at the temple, when I look at an architecture, when I look at a information, even when I take up a new book to read, I completely submit myself with the attitude of imbibing. Understand? People who live around me would have observed. Even if I get a new laptop or a machine, I'll hold it in my hand for a few seconds. With all humbleness I submit to imbibe you as part of me. Even newspaper or any book, people who living around me would have observed it. Anything I touch, first I surrender with humble submission, attitude of imbibing. Please understand, there are very few spiritual methods I myself practice. Still now, I practice. This is one of the method or attitude still I practice. I go on practicing. Since unclutching and all I don't practice. I can't do also, that is different, because even to unclutch you need mind. I don't have, I can't practice. And puja, I don't practice. But in this the Madurai Adinam tradition, I am supposed to do puja every day to the deity of Shiva and Meenakshi. So you should see how I do puja. It will be very funny. Morning I will sit with the deities and I will pour first the water and fall into samadhi. And then I will wake up and put the sandal and fall into samadhi. It will take at least 2 hours for me to complete the puja. I cannot practice puja, of course, because as a tradition I have to do, I am doing. That's different. I cannot practice unclutching. There are many methods and techniques. I cannot do ajapa japa. By the time I repeat the mantra second or third time, already in samadhi. But still I practice some things. That is humble submission. Understand? Then understand the importance of this process. Whether I am not talking about the humble submission, the attitude of imbibing you need to have in front of the Guru. No, that is secondary. I am not even talking about that. Have that attitude with everything. When you look at a building, have that attitude of imbibing. You will imbibe whatever you need to from that. You will be enriched. When you need, that file will come up, a book. Start with that attitude of imbibing. Whatever is your essence, let it be imbibed in me. Let it become part of me. That is why any knowledge, I am not talking out of ego, any knowledge, it can be any complicated, whether it is legal or auditing or HTML code, any knowledge, I can be 100% sure I can imbibe, because I know how to imbibe. Go with the attitude of imbibing. If you are going to a new culture, if you are going to a new place, if you are going to a new person, if you are going to a new book, if you are going to a new field, with anything, do not have prejudice. Something, these fellows are wrong, these fellows are right, this book is not right, this thought trend is not right, this philosophy is crime, this philosophy is right. Don't go with that prejudice. Go with that mood of submission, imbibing. I tell you, if you have this attitude of imbibing, even the terrorist philosophy, you will learn something right and good. But with the attitude of arrogance, even if it is the philosophy of enlightenment, you will make it arrogant and egocentric. I have seen people becoming egocentric, reading great Advaitic literatures, and people becoming enlightened, the worst terrorist books. George Gurdjieff is a flower out of the communist thorns. He was not given any enlightenment philosophy or Advaitic teachings. It's all the communist inputs. But with the attitude of imbibing, even from communism, he flowered as an enlightened being. I tell you, attitude of imbibing. If you see, even now, if I get a new book in my hand, or a newspaper in my hand, or a magazine, anything before reading, you will see me stuck, pause for a few seconds. Only then I will start. Means, there are something which I practice even now. Of course, some things I practice, that muddy means that cleanliness, that hygiene. That is not spiritual practice. That is more like I have decided to maintain my hygiene, and for that I am practicing. Those things are different. But there are some spiritual practice I do. In that, this attitude of imbibing is one. Understand? It may be completely negative information book or something wrong, but even to that, I go with the attitude of imbibing. When you go with the attitude of imbibing, anything gives you enlightenment. Try to imbibe, try to have this. Try this as a process. It will be very funny in the beginning. Sit in the house, take half an hour, and decide mentally to pay your respect to every object which is in front of your eyes. Maybe the carpet, or the photograph, or the wall, or the chair, anything which is around you. Please understand, you can learn the habit of imbibing and submission only with the objects which are around you first. If you cannot respect, if you cannot humbly submit yourself in front of the chair which is in your house, or the shoes which are in your house, or the wall which are holding your roof, you cannot submit yourself to God. If you imagine God and imagine your submission, it will only be ego playing with ego, that's all. First try with something objective in front of you. Don't expect you should be humble only in front of divine objects. What is divinity? When you add humbleness, it becomes divine, that's all. So if you add humbleness, everything will become divine. Add humbleness to your life. Let the life itself become divine. Attitude of imbibing. Attitude of receiving. Even now, I go on practicing it. There are some practices which is supposed to be done even beyond enlightenment. There are some you can't do beyond enlightenment. Unclutching, ajapa, japa, all these you can't do beyond enlightenment. There won't be, it is not possible because the frequency is so different, you won't be able to do. But this attitude of imbibing, actually attitude of imbibing is radiating enlightenment. Unclutching, ajapa, japa, all is living enlightenment. Once you become enlightened, over. But enlightenment constantly exploding happens only with the attitude of imbibing. Only with the attitude of imbibing, enlightenment goes on happening in you. Let you all achieve, experience, live, express, radiate, share and explode in eternal bliss. Nityananda.
Nityananda Dhyanapitham, Nityananda Nagar, off Mysore Road, Bidadi, Bangalore, 562109. Contact 09742203311. www.nityananda.org. www.youtube.com/Life Bliss Foundation.